Here we go, Josh,
Yes,
aka
sir.
Aqua Ace. We get to have a 1v1 on the future of our Dolphins.
Oof. I think the other guys picked a good day to maybe just take a
Yeah.
pause.
Maybe it was planned. They were like, I don't know if I want to sit in on this one tonight. So there's a lot to talk about. We of course need to get into the Packers game first.
Yeah.
It was on Thanksgiving night. We lauded it as one of the best games of the day. Many people in the media lauded it as the best game of the day. I hate to say it, it was not the best game of the day. That definitely goes to Lions Bears. That was a fantastic game.
That was amazing. That game was
Uh,
phenomenal.
it just so happened it was at 12 o'clock in the afternoon for those of us on the East, which means on the West Coast it was 9 o'clock in the morning.
I know.
What a morning game to wake up to. Absolutely fantastic. But we got another NFC, what is that, North? Is that the division?
Yeah, I think
Whatever
so.
their division is, we got a third team from that division. We got the Green Bay Packers. We got frigid temperatures. We got a coach and a quarterback and a receiver spitting out interviews about breaking narratives and how narratives are easy to predict because they're always the same, and that we're here, the only way to break the narrative is to play well. I don't think they got that memo.
Sure didn't. Nope. It was funny. I was quietly hyped, right? Because again, players were saying all of the right things, right? You had Tua coming out in a couple interviews saying, you know what, these are the kind of games that kill narratives. You had coach coming out, you had wide receivers whose name shall not be named because he disappeared in this game. And
as usual.
Yeah, exactly. And I really felt like, okay, this is the make or break game of the year, right? For us. I think, we're riding a little streak here. We're getting some momentum. Coaches are finally calling some good games. Players are starting to play up to the potential and to what we know they can play. And I was hyped, man. I was hyped. And boy, what a letdown. Oh, man.
The only thing I'm thankful for is that it was at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So
it didn't ruin all of Thanksgiving.
It didn't, right. If it was the 12:30 game, right, the rest of Thanksgiving is just
shot.
Destroyed.
Yep.
It's at 8:30 at night. I believe the majority of us tuned out for the second half.
I mean, yeah, pretty much.
A majority of Dolphins fans probably did too. I mean, I had the game on, but I certainly wasn't watching it with bated breath like I was the first half, right? It's the first play of the game. Or not our first,
our first
first offensive play. I guess it was an offensive play.
Well, special teams play, but yeah.
But before we even get into the details of the game, the thing that bothers me the most about this is that it's all true. They're not narratives. They're truths.
No,
they're
not anymore.
Yep. Right. Can you play in cold weather? No, it's not a narrative. It's a fact. You cannot play in cold weather. Yep. It doesn't matter that you think you can play in cold weather because the statistics say that you cannot.
No.
Right?
And the other narrative is, can you there were three narratives in this game, right? Can you play on prime time?
Which we just did a couple weeks ago. We thought we finally broke it.
Yep. Nope. Right back to normal. Can you play in cold weather? And can you beat a team with a playoff quality team?
And that's the one that bothers me the most. I don't care that we can't play in cold weather. There's not that many cold weather stadiums.
No.
I don't care that we can't play in primetime. We're the Miami Dolphins. We generally don't get that many primetime games. What I do care about is that if you're going to win the Super Bowl, you have to beat good teams. We can't do that, right? No. We're only 4-3 with Tua at the helm this year. I know everybody likes to point the blame that we didn't have Tua for 4 games. Mm-hmm. And fantastic. Okay, so what if we did, right? Does that guarantee that we win those games against those teams? No, right? Seattle looks good. We didn't think Seattle was good at the time, but Seattle looks pretty good, leading their division.
Yeah.
New England Patriots, I harp on it every single time we have this show, but they won that game, right?
They did. They genuinely did.
Outside of a really, really poor call, not a poor call, but a poor rule by the NFL, they won that game. Right? So
even the Jags, man, the Jags should have won that game twice.
The Jags should have won that game, right? Mm-hmm. Anybody who wants to say that we were in the Buffalo game before Tua went out is misremembering. We were not in that game.
No, this was a season of poor coaching, poor playing, game management, adjustment, lack of adjustment. I mean, this season has been, and injuries. I mean, look, injuries do play a part in this, and I think we'll get to that in this game.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, our secondary is decimated. I mean, we were missing 2 starters already going into the game, right? Then we lose 2 rookies. One now is on IR and Cam Smith probably for the rest of the season. And, we lose 2 others. I mean, it was just nasty, but the season has snowballed on us, and it's hard to watch, man. It really is. And of course, it's the first year we decided to do an awesome podcast. Couldn't have done this last year when we were like, the bee's knees.
Even last year though, the narrative was we didn't beat anybody, and it was true. We didn't beat anybody.
Yeah, but we had at least won games.
Yeah, we did win games. We had the most high flying offense that NFL has ever seen.
Could you imagine this podcast after that Denver
70-point game? Yeah.
Holy shit. Yeah.
But so where was I going with this? Oh, I really thought that the coaching turned it around though. I really did. With 3-game winning streak, I know it wasn't the strongest of competitors outside. The Rams they're playing for the division lead, right? That division's really tight. Well, 3 of the teams are really tight at least. So you got the Rams. That was a good win on primetime. I thought, okay, the coaching looked way better, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we had been critical of Mike McDaniel and the screen game nonsense the first 7 games a year or whatever it was. Finally getting away from that.
Mm-hmm. Balanced offense, rushing attack, passing attack.
We had balance. Yeah, we talked about that many times. We were balanced. It was great. Everything was looking up. And it's just false sense of looking up, though. It's this false sense that we're getting better. When I know that every game in the NFL is hard, but this is a team that many in the preseason anticipated would be easily in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
And potentially pushing the Bills for the division.
Man.
Right.
Everyone was saying it. I was saying
Super Bowl. Yeah. So now it's like, okay, where are we, right? Like, we're 5-7. Even if we win out, that's 10 wins. That could still be really hard to get a wild card game because the AFC is just disproportionately difficult.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Yeah.
Like, I feel like 10-7 in the NFC, we're in. I feel good about that.
9-8, I think.
9-8, really, yeah. But 10-7 in the AFC. When you're looking at teams like the Chargers, right, who are looking better and better, which we knew they were going to.
Yep.
They have one of the best coaches of all time. I'm not afraid to say that. This guy wins wherever he goes, right? You got the Denver Broncos. Bo Nix looks like a star already,
bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm as all of our listeners know, and you guys, the co-hosts know, I'm a huge draft guy. I love breaking down players coming out. I was so high on Bo Nix, and I soured on him post draft. I was like, well, I don't like the fit in Denver, and holy crap, that man can play. Holy crap.
And you know what? And this is the first time in a while we've seen a college quarterback, and I'm not going to harp too much on this. It's not really Dolphins related, but first time in a while we've seen a college quarterback with that number of starts.
Yeah, true.
And I mean, we've never seen a quarterback with that number of starts. He leads the NCAA in number of starts, but like we haven't seen a quarterback with like, let's say 40 starts.
Right. At least not from a Power 5 school.
Right.
There are tons that come out of
like we get the Dukes and all that stuff. Daniel Jones, all that crap. But like give me a guy from a big school, right?
Yeah.
So now here we are. Best we can do is 10-7.
Which I do think 10-7 we make the wild card if we went out. I really genuinely do. That's not rose-colored glasses like I'm soured on this team, but I do think we make it. Genuinely. We have the easiest or the second easiest remaining schedule. Chargers and Broncos, I believe, are outside of the top 10 from an ease of schedule for the remaining season. So anything's possible, but
yeah. So let's just take a look at that for a sec because let's paint the picture,
sure.
Right? The top 4 teams are the division winners. We're not going to be that. No. The Buffalo has already clinched the division. Embarrassing as that is.
Oof.
They have already clinched the division. So that leaves the 5 seed, the 6 seed, and the 7 seed. There are now 3 wild card teams per division. The Chargers sit at 8-4. The Ravens sit at 8-5. The Broncos sit at 8-5. We are 5-7. That means we are two and a half games behind.
Mm-hmm.
So 2.5 games behind. But we do, as you mentioned, have the easiest schedule left. We play the Jets twice. We play the Houston Texans, who look like a shell of the team that they were last year, but are currently also 8-5 and lead their division. So still a competitive game. We would actually beat a winning team if we beat them, which is huge, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got the San Francisco 49ers, who I know they're going to miss the playoffs at this point. That seems inevitable. They're 5-7 as well.
And they have like their high school water boy playing on offense for them because they have so many injuries.
Right. No Brandon Ayuk, no Christian McCaffrey. They lost CMC's backup, Jordan Mason. Brock Purdy looks awful, but he's also dealing with injuries. Right? That's a winnable game.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got the Cleveland Browns, who you just never really know what you're going to get. Right? That Monday night game was incredible.
Bananas.
Incredible.
I have this is to Andrew if you're watching. Jerry Jeudy, thank you for dropping him.
Jameis Winston, I'm sorry, I know that they should have started him day one. He is erratic with the football. He puts it in a position that he shouldn't put it in more often than not. But at the end of the day, that dude's a gamer. And that's what scares me about them, dude.
Yep.
That's what scares me.
As a Florida State grad, I watched Jameis in college and watched him early on in the pros. And I'll tell you what, you either get a 500-yard, 4-touchdown game or you get a 500-yard, 4-interception game. You're always getting 500 yards out of them. You know what I mean? And scary, man. That's not
so I kind of want to go into like 3 key takeaways. Let's do it that way. 3 key takeaways from the Packers game. But before I do that, I want to run through the schedule. I want to give people an idea of like, what's the difficulty level here?
Let's do it.
So next game, and we're going to play a little bit of spoiler here because we're going to talk about the Jets game more later, but versus New York and Miami. Is that a win?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a win. Easy? Like guaranteed?
I mean,
nothing's easy, but as far as
easy. I mean, I think it's close to a touchdown. I think I have a winning by 6 in my prediction.
And we're okay, and we're under the reality here that we can't lose another game. We lose another game, we're out.
We're done.
That's it.
We're not mathematically done, but we're done.
Not mathematically, but
I mean, theoretically.
If the other 3 teams keep winning, it will be mathematically, right?
Well, yeah. Right. I mean, look, to those that are listening and to you, I think we're done now. But there is still a chance.
But we could still win 10 games. That's not something to like
sneeze at,
man. 10 games after losing our quarterback for 4 of those, right?
And going over in those games, by the way.
Right. Yeah. We beat the Patriots.
Right.
That's all we managed. Right. We went 1-4 without them.
We beat a New England high school team. Cool.
Yeah. We didn't actually beat them though.
Right. The refs beat them for
us. The refs beat them. Yeah. The refs. All right. At Houston. That's tough. At Houston.
I mean, can we win? Yes. I think the way they're playing, they are not playing good football right now. CJ Stroud is it doesn't do it enough justice to say he's a shell of his former self last year because he's not good. I think he leads the league in interceptions, I think.
But they do have Nico back, which is a big deal.
Yeah, and they have Mixon, right?
They have Mixon. Mixon's going to kill us. Dude, I think that's a 50-50 right there.
It is a 50-50. I'm going to be honest with you. If I'm betting serious money on that, that's an L.
I think you have to take the home team, right?
You have to. And that's literally the only reason. If we were playing in Miami, I would feel much more confident about that. But
So our season could be over in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks. If it's not already.
Look, here's the thing though. Not to derail this a little bit, but do we have the talent to beat them? 1,000%. We have the talent to beat most teams in this league. What's frustrating about this season, specifically for me, is the fact that we're not realizing that talent on the field when we've seen it already. You know what I mean? So in these kind of games that are 50-50, it just kind of depends on what quarter, what side of the quarter it lands on. You know what I mean?
I think we're going to talk so much about that. What you just said, we have the talent, but we're not seeing them. We're going to talk so much about their performance.
Oh yeah.
In that McDaniel Greer thing, I think.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's on my list.
Because it's got, I mean, yeah. So, okay. quickly now, San Francisco in Miami.
That's a win. I think it's an easy win.
I think
Personally.
that's a win. Right. This one's another potential loss here, I think, to me. At Cleveland in primetime on December 29th.
So in the cold.
It's going to be cold. It's going to be night, a primetime game.
Yeah, oof.
Against a Cleveland team that's scrappy.
Look, can we win? Yes. Will we win? I'm not sure.
We should win. 3-9.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I will say this. I will pick us to win that game, not because I'm a fan. I mean, I am a fan, but not solely because I'm a fan, but because I do think that team is very ebb and flow. Right? They're super high and they look, very good, or they look like garbage, and they always find a way to beat themselves. I mean, they almost lost that game last week with Jerry Jeudy having over 200 yards and Jameis having almost 5.
Yeah,
passing. I mean, and they almost lost it. So, I would chalk that up as a W from if I was picking and betting money on it.
They did lose it on Monday night.
Oh, they did lose it. Right.
So, yeah, they threw for 5. They had 500 yards and they lost.
Mm-hmm. Right. So that gives me hope.
Right? And that's because Denver had 2 pick-6s, and that's what you have to do against Jameis. Yeah,
Jalen Ramsey, baby, he's gonna have 3 of them.
I have that as a 50-50 as well. And then at the New York Jets, this is a TBD. It's a flex game. Given that both teams are likely out of the playoffs by this point, I would say that's a 1:00 game on a Sunday.
Yeah, and I think if mathematically, and we'll talk about this later, I think, or we'll touch on it later, but I think mathematically, if we're out of it, I hope that our decision makers will play a lot of our more younger players to get them practice time, or get them playing time rather, not practice time. So
I don't know, man. I want to beat the Jets.
But I do think even if we're playing like Patrick Paul and Jalen Wright's getting the majority of the carries and so on, I still think the Jets are the Jets. I'm sorry, yeah. I'll never pick us to lose to the Jets, honestly.
Me either. So okay, so that puts us at 3 wins that we feel really comfortable about, and 2 games that
are 50-50.
Just really aren't in our favor in terms of the situation, the setting, the weather. The timing.
Yeah, I think we have a better chance of the 2 questionable games. I think we have a better chance at winning the Houston game.
That's insane, right?
We're given the outside factors.
What? Right? Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah, the cold in Cleveland. Okay.
And primetime.
And then some news we got coming in is that it looks like Bradley Chubb and Cameron Good they're in their window. Mike McDaniel talked about them today, and in his normal workaround way, didn't actually answer the question as to when they would play.
No. Apparently, they look good. Bunch of reports, and they look good in practice, like walking, running, and cutting on their legs and stuff. So,
listen, soon. I don't expect the coach to give that information away, but the way he does it is just so annoying.
Yeah,
he goes, "Well, that's up to them. It's not up to them. It's up to you, dude."
Yeah,
okay,
come on.
Let's Jesus.
Yeah, goodness. I will say this, Mike McDaniel. I'm a Mike McDaniel fan. I am, but I'll tell you what, his
I can't listen to a press conference.
I can't do it. I can't do it, and I don't know what his issue is, because when he's talking anything but football, he sounds like like somebody that needs some help. But as soon as he switches over to X's and O's, the dude sounds like a savant. You know what I mean?
He just seems like he's talking down to people. Like in his press conferences, he's like, if I tell you what I really want to say, you won't understand. And it's like, that's kind of rude. But maybe we won't, but at least just give an honest answer. And I think that's why we liked him at first, because he was refreshingly honest. And now he's just a typical coach who doesn't really answer any questions.
Something else that I plan on talking about when we get to that segment later on.
All right, let's talk about key takeaways from the Packers game. I have like 2. I don't know. There's not like, I think we should probably try to come up with 3 total.
Sure. I have 1 that's not good, if you want me to start.
It's not
necessarily about the Packers game. It's just kind of icing on the top. But Mike McDaniel is 0-3 on Thursday Night Football games with a cumulative score of 49 for us, total points, versus 88 total points for the opposition. Not good.
That's not good. That's not as many points for us as it is for them.
Nope.
I think that's how you
almost
lose.
Double. Yeah.
Oh, Nikes.
Yeah. So, not good. Not good.
My takeaway was that the secondary being as good as it was a mirage. It was another one of those. It was another one of those stats don't tell the story type of things, because teams have seen that our secondary is really good, so they haven't really attacked it. They've kept the ball short. They've tried to
Yeah.
get us with the screen game. They've tried to get us with the rushing attack, which are the rushing attack's another weakness of ours, right?
Mhm.
But Green Bay said, screw it. We're going to call your bluff on your secondary being that good, and we're going to test them. And we lost that test.
Well, yeah, and I think that's where the injury conversation comes into play, because let's not forget we weren't anywhere close to being at full health, right? I
Sure.
mean, Cam Smith, Storm Duck, both should not be starting. Both got injured like quick, right? Jordan Poyer is
Did Cater get hurt in this one too? Cater's hurt every week.
I think he got banged up. I don't know. I think he might have come back,
Okay.
but he missed, I think, a quarter ish. Unless I'm misremembering. You know, Javon Holland looks like dog poop. I mean, Poyer looks like Poyer.
I've been saying that all year, man. Holland
Yeah.
has not looked good this year at all.
Yeah. So I think for as good as our secondary played, in air quotes, I say good. You know, we didn't play very well, but you know, I think Weaver did a very good job at calling a good game. He switched to big nickel, put Elijah Campbell in there, who I think should be starting. He looked phenomenal this game, and really kind of leveraged our linebackers in better positions, knowing that
Quentin Bell had a game too.
Sure did. So did Brooks.
Yeah.
Brooks played it like a man possessed this game.
You know what was most interesting about this game is that it was the same offense.
Mm-hmm.
So they play the same offense as us. So quick, get the ball out of your hands in less than 3 seconds, right?
Yep.
So the pass rush was non-existent because Jordan Love got rid of the ball almost immediately every single play. It's not like we didn't have a pass rush. It's like by the time Chop hit the tackle, the ball was gone already. And we didn't play well against that, which is surprising because we practice against it.
You would think, right? You would think as the team that didn't create it, but the team that put a few wrinkles in that the league has copied since Mike McDaniel has been our head coach. You think we would know. But I'll tell you what, my biggest takeaway from this game was envy. Because of how that team is constructed is how I wish our team is. You know, the analogy that I used in our group chat was it's like watching a Ferrari in a blizzard, right? We have all of the speed, but our tallest wide receiver is 5'2", right? Yeah. When you have somebody like Jalen Reed who can go up for those 50-50 balls, but also can put the speed, can hit those deep balls. Those are the kind of difference makers that we lack, which is something that I hope we address in the offseason, which is something we'll talk about in a little bit too.
I don't think it's any, I don't think it's a coincidence that Jonnu is the best player on our offense right now.
No, I don't either.
He's the only one who is not a tiny guy with really fast legs. I mean,
yeah.
Devon
Can we talk
Achane
about him being a revelation,
right?
Like, I hope we sign him to a 5-year contract.
I mean, we better give him at least 3. Yeah. Like, don't let him walk. Because it's not even unrealistic to say that over this win, he was the reason we had a 3-game winning streak.
Easy.
He was the reason the offense looked competent in this game, despite only scoring 17 points. That wasn't totally the offense's fault. Looking at you, Malik, over on special teams.
Brother, special teams. I've been saying it all season. Special teams. Oof.
The problem with this game wasn't our offense. The offense looked good. But the Packers' game plan was don't let them get the ball. Yep. And they didn't.
No, and they did a damn good job of it. They really did.
They did.
And why are we not kicking it out of bounds on kickoffs and letting them get to the 40, 45, 50, 48?
Every time.
Every time. Well, what are we doing? And then in the second half, miraculously, Jason Sanders can kick a cold ball out of the end zone. So that tells me that the game plan set in place by Coach Darren, or is it Darren? Who's our Darren Rizzi?
It's not Rizzi anymore.
No, it's not Rizzi.
It's somebody else.
Whatever the hell his name
Enter special teams coordinator who's going to be gone after this season.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
That means that his game plan was to purposely kick it short and allow Green Bay to return, right? Because there is no reason. The balls weren't different. The weather was colder than it was in the first half. So we purposely kicked it short.
I wonder if that's just because Dobbs was out, right? I'm pretty sure Dobbs is their usual returner. So they're thinking, well, the returner's out. let's see what the new one can do. But after the first time he returns the ball to the 40, maybe make an adjustment
On
there.
the kickoff, he returns it to the 40. So what are you doing? Like, coaching has been a serious problem. And I'll say the Weaver has not been a problem this year for all of the flack that he's caught. I mean, there was a slump in the middle of the season, and that when Tua wasn't there, the defense played really great. When Tua came back and we went on that, we were winning in spite of the defense. However, he's been our best coach, in my opinion, this whole season so far, of all of the kind of core.
I would agree. And for people who are critical, you got to remember, it's his first year being a defensive coordinator ever. This was a 4-3 defense last year. We are switching to a 3-4. So the personnel is not where it needs to be yet, right? And I have no doubt in my mind when Tyus Bowser became a free agent, Anthony Weaver said, I want him.
He's mine. Yep.
When the kid out of Seattle,
Dotson. Yeah, Terrell.
When Dotson became a free agent, I have no doubt Weaver said, I want him, right? These two have made impacts since they've been on this team, and Dotson's only been on the team for a freaking cup of coffee.
And he's looked pretty
and he looks great.
Yeah, he really does.
And Bowser, who is a journeyman pass rusher, played for the Ravens for a long time, where Anthony Weaver came from.
He's on IR now, by the way, I think.
Is he on IR? Well,
I think
when
so.
he was playing, he looked like a journeyman pass rusher. Exactly what we needed. It was perfect.
Yep.
Perfect. So, yeah. Let's get into the greatest segment in sports entertainment history.
Now it's time for the greatest segment in all of sports media. Game balls and jock straps.
I love that. I love that segment intro.
We may need to speed up the voice a little.
A little bit, but I'll be honest with you, it makes me giggle every time.
It's hilarious. Yeah, it's really funny. Okay. Game balls and jock straps. If you're new here and you can't figure out what it is from context, our game balls are the players who we think performed really well. Our jock straps are the players who we think did not. Josh, let's do ours first, and then we'll talk about because Keith and Steve both did pick them. They weren't originally supposed to be out for this show. So why don't you start? We'll start with the game balls because that's there's less pickings there.
Yeah, it was hard. I'm going to be completely honest with all of our viewers and listeners and yourself, sir. But it was very difficult to pick a game ball for anyone this week. And I looking through rewatching the games and evaluating the play of kind of key positions and watching it through the lens of somebody that likes and loves football and the X's and O's, I really narrowed it down to two players. It was Achane or Brooks at linebacker. And I went with Achane just because Achane is my game ball. And I chose him because his impact is unequivocal. Week in and week out, he didn't rush for, I think he only had like 28 yards rushing or something like that. But he had 8 receptions for 40 or 50 yards. I can't remember what it was in the passing game and a touchdown. And his impact on the game, week in and week out, is just, it's the best on the team. The only player I think that gives him a run for his money is our favorite tight end, in Jonnu. And so I just think that where he didn't have his best performance, we got away from the run. I think we only rushed it 8 times the whole game. I think 9 times the whole game. Not much.
I see 14, but Tua was 2 of those. So let's say 12.
Okay, 12. Might as well be 8, right?
Might as well. Yeah.
And so I think, it limited his exposure in the run game. But in the pass game, he was productive. He was our second leading receiver, which is another thing that we can talk about. But yeah, he's my game ball.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it did this even on a day where he doesn't have a huge performance. I mean, 8 for 56 through the air. That's pretty good.
And a tud.
And a tutty. But he's just consistently just amazing on the field. He is lightning in a bottle. Every time he touches the ball, there's that opportunity for him to just break one.
Yeah, and my favorite thing about his game, I think, this year over last year is you can tell he's worked on his patience, which I think is a real big indicator on the success and the skill of a running back. It's not always about speed or power. and you look at the really great running backs and the ones today in this league currently that are good and great and really help propel their teams, they all have patience. They don't hit the hole at 1,000 miles an hour. They wait until they help set their blocks up, and then they hit the hole at 1,000 miles an hour. And he's getting so much better at that. Whereas last year he was kind of see it and hit it. Now he's okay. I'm gonna let my block develop. I'm gonna let the second tier of blocking develop, and then I'm gonna turn the jets on and run for 40 or run for 10 or run for 15 or run for 50. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, last year he looked like a rookie who was just trying to use his speed and realized that, well, everybody's fast. So his second year, he's definitely turned more of a strategy.
Yep.
So I went with everybody's favorite tight end. I went with Jonnu because I can't think of a single offensive player who has been more impactful for this team over the past 4 games, let alone this game. Another absolutely impeccable performance. 10 of 11 targets, 113 yards. Didn't actually find the end zone this time, but oh my god! Every time he looked up, he had the ball in his hand. So, it's such a good addition.
It really is, and he's very underrated in the blocking game too. He is touted as a kind of a bigger wide receiver, if you will, at the tight end position. But I'll tell you what, our tight end coach and that kind of group have turned him into a really good blocker. I mean, he laid some wood on a couple guys in this game, and it was one of the very few silver linings to this whole game was that, you know, Jonnu, man, he's a well-rounded player, and it makes it even more sweet because he was a very high-priced free agent for our Patriots, right? In our division, for the Patriots in our division, and he was not good at all for that.
He wasn't, no.
Not good whatsoever.
Which was crazy coming off the Falcons where he was fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. And when we get him, all of my Patriots friends are like, oh, good luck. Hope you can do something because he did nothing for us, and he turns into our best offensive player. So it's
I mean, that's exactly why I think the strategy that True Fin fan, thank you for joining us again, my friend. But the strategy that you bring up every week is not easy. There's teams all across the NFL trying to get 2 tight ends that are really good. The Patriots have been trying since they had Gronk and Hernandez. It's not easy. It's one of the hardest things to do. Mike Gesicki, don't bring up Mike Gesicki. Oh my goodness gracious. We are not Gesicki fans. You're bringing up the wrong person here, my friend.
Sorry, buddy.
Stonehands Gesicki.
No, I love 9 of your 10 takes, True Fin, but that one, not it, buddy. Respectfully, of course, respectfully.
Yeah, no, I love his takes because they're so different than ours. And I'm sure Keith and Steve are usually more closely on the same page there. Keith, by the way, had Zach Sealer as the game ball. Amazing.
Solid.
Right?
Just steady, consistent, just
losing Sealer for those 2 games was so painful. Like you saw it. Like that dude is the middle of our line. It's crazy.
And he also happens to be like one of my favorite players in the league just because he's fun, he's quiet, he's the anti-Tyreek Hill. Yeah. If that makes sense, you know.
He's amazing though, because when he is pumped up, he's just like out there, man.
Yeah.
He's out there. Amazingly, I want to talk about Steve's game ball versus Keith's jockstrap.
Yeah, I was excited about when they both sent me their picks. I was like, oh, this is gonna be good.
I'm surprised that he's in the jockstrap category, if I'm being honest. And now I know I'm to break the not bury the lead. It's Tua. I thought Tua had a great game. Not his fault that he got sacked 5 times.
Well, and that's a lie. I disagree
some of
with
them.
you there.
Some of them were. Yeah. Some of them were. You're right.
Yeah.
I don't like this little thing he's doing where he does like this little scoot in the pocket and turns in circles 4 times. Like, what, you're trying to make yourself dizzy? What are you doing?
No. Nope. And I'll tell you why I was agreeing with Keith with putting 2 in the jockstrap. Now, statistically, you look at his stats, you're like, oh, he had a pretty damn good game, right? 2 tuds. They have a
365.
Pick.
No picks.
No picks, right? Yeah. Threw it like 40 something times, over 70 completion. Fine. Had a decent game. Yep. But when you dig into it, Tua's lack of recognition of when to throw the ball away and just live to play another game instead of taking an 8-yard sack because you're trying. It's horrible. It's horrible. Now, I'm a Tua guy. I do believe that Tua is a franchise type quarterback. I'm not saying he's a top 5 quarterback in this league, but you don't need a top 5 quarterback in this league. If you have one, better for you, but you don't need one to win a Super Bowl. But I'll tell you what, it's getting real frustrating seeing him just try to do too much, right? And you see his motor, you can just see his gears are like, oh, if I turn left or right, and oh God, there's somebody in front of me, I got to back up. And it's just, dude, just either fall down like Tom Brady used to do,
Yeah.
and live to fight another day, or throw the ball 70 yards out of bounds and let's start over.
You may convince me. I still think 365 and 70% is nothing to sneeze at. I mean,
Of course not. But when you're throwing the ball, 50 something times or whatever it was.
True. I will say, yeah, that you need the football smarts. You need to work on that aspect of your game where in the moment you can think to yourself, it's better if I dive forward for a 3-yard loss than it is for me to spin around in a circle 3 times, make myself so dizzy I don't know which direction is up, and then get sacked for a 12-yard loss.
Exactly.
Like, stop doing that. Yeah.
Yep. And it works 1 out of every 8 times. And that one time you're like, oh, hey, he does have wheels. Hey, he is a little shifty. And then you're like, oh, nope, just kidding. Yeah.
So to quickly get through the rest, Steve had the pass rush as his jockstrap, which we talked about before. Jordan Love, an amazingly quick release. He's got to be in the top 5. I know 2 is number 1, but he's got to be up there. And then your guy hasn't changed probably since like week 6.
Nope. Jordan Poyer. Always going to be Jordan Poyer until he's off this team. Honestly, because they're, in my opinion, and I think everyone on this show knows, the viewers, you, True Fin fans, my wife, my best friends, everyone knows I hate Jordan Poyer, right? But I don't think there has been a worse player on this team. Maybe Skylar Thompson. And if I'm comparing those two,
Duke Riley, if he were actually playing, right?
Honestly, I'm going to be honest with you, Anthony. I would take Duke Riley over Jordan Poyer at his position. Put Duke Riley back at safety because he's a better. Jordan Poyer is horrible.
He's hard. Yeah.
I mean, now I read an article that because you and I and Keith and we all have these conversations in our group chat on our phones that our listeners aren't privy to, but I always ask, I think you've asked it a couple of times, why is Poyer starting? What does he have dirt on the coaching staff? What's going on here? And I read an article just today. It was a long article on, forgot what website it was Miami Dolphin beat writer or something. And he said, the reason Jordan Poyer is starting is because the coaches, he calls the plays on the defense and he helps get everyone aligned. And that's where he excels. It's everything else that he's bad at. And to me,
may as well just put Anthony Weaver out there then.
I mean, probably, yeah. I mean, to me, that's not a good enough reason, right? Because, okay, so he gets you aligned, great, but he's such a liability in coverage. He's such a liability in the run game. He is late with his decision-making. He can't make a tackle to save his life. He gets up and throws his hands up and looks at everyone else when he misses a tackle. And he crapped all over the team in the preseason. And I'm sorry, like, call me a guy that holds a grudge, which I'm not, but I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all.
Are we pretending too, like Holland or Brooks couldn't handle that? I mean,
well, it's fair, right? I don't like the way Holland's playing either. Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
I don't think we should re-sign him.
I think we'll talk about him in a long-term outlook section that we have to get to, I believe. Listen, I went with Malik Washington for my jockstrap. You cannot muff that punt when the defense gets a 3-and-out against an offense that is better than you. You cannot give them the ball right back, and then the defense still almost stopped them.
Yeah, which is
still forced them to 3rd and goal before they ran the ball in. Like, I don't care. I don't even remember anything else he did in that game with Josh. So I'm being completely honest with you. If he made another flub, I didn't remember it because all I saw was red for Malik Washington after that play.
No, he muffed the first one and lost it, and then he muffed the second one, but I think we got it back. I'm pretty sure. But, this was a typical rookie and too big of a moment type game.
Yeah.
Right. And I understand the coaching staff wants, he gives us the best opportunity to return with his speed. He's a very good blocker as the 3rd wide receiver. I mean, if you look at this game, I think he almost doubled snaps of OBJ as wide receiver 3 because he's a very good blocker. I get it. But man,
in a game like this, bro, give me Tyreek back there.
You can't do it. Yes. Yeah. I mean, Tyreek's not doing anything else. Might as well.
Right. I mean, and they last year when we were in the playoffs, who was returning punts?
Yep.
It was Tyreek. Like, you put your best guy on the field in a game like this. So nothing against Malik. I think Malik has had
he's had a really good season
for like
really...
a 7th-round pick. It's not bad.
You know who I'd like to see return him is like Jalen Wright or Echan or someone. You know what I mean?
Sure. Get Jeff Wilson out there. He ain't doing anything.
There you go. Is he even still on the team?
I have no idea. Actually, they asked him about that today. They asked McDaniel if he was, since our yards per carry was so low. Thank you, True Fin fan. If he would consider like putting Mostert or Wilson out there more. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, this is a beat writer who has not watched this team or something, or is like what is happening right now?
New to the job,
right? Like, why would Achan is quite all right, my guy. He is doing just fine.
He really is.